So I've been thinking a lot about my 2022 goals, and I want to recap what I accomplished in 2021 and how that is going to inform my goal setting for 2022. So today we are doing a 2022 plan with me. Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sara Lubratt, and today we are planning for 2022. So I guess with that, let's get started. Over the past couple of days, as I've been starting to think about 2022, I have taken some notes, but I'm gonna write them out as we talk through these and compare them to what I accomplished in 2021. The first one is going to take some math because I need to add up what I wrote in 2021. I didn't think about doing this beforehand, and I probably should have. So my writing goals that I set for 2021, I actually used the good, better, best tier system. And so the good goal was wanting to finish book 1 of my project DE. My better goal is on top of finishing book 1 of DE, I also wanted to start querying DE. And then my best goal was on top of finishing book 1 and starting to query DE, I also wanted to start drafting a new story. So, first things first, I did not finish book 1 of DE. I'm still working on draft 4. And ultimately, I think that that is perfectly fine. I think that this story is going to benefit greatly from that focus, even if it is a little bit of a bummer that I'm not completely done with it yet. But what I did end up working on in 2021 was finishing draft 3 of DE, sending project DE out to beta readers, and while DE was with beta readers, I got to start drafting a new story, which is when I wrote 50,000 words of my sci-fi story, which I call Project CBH. And then after I hit that 50,000, I had gotten the beta reader feedback back, and then I took that beta reader feedback and I took notes on that beta reader feedback, and I started draft 4 of Project DE. And then by the time November rolled around, I was ready for a break from draft 4 and all of the improvements that I was making, and I decided to draft a different something new, and so I drafted 50,000 words of my Project CF. So even though I did not finish book 1 of DE and I did not start to query it, I did accomplish not only drafting one new story, but drafting 2 new stories. And that was cool. That felt so good. And so now I'm going to add up how many words I worked with in 2021 in all of those drafts and everything. Okay, the moment of truth. I ended up working with 266,078 words during the year of 2021. I did over 250,000 words. And this includes like editing and revising. And so I wasn't writing all of these words, but I did work on them and I worked with them. And when I was editing and rewriting, I did include those numbers in this count. My lowest month was actually December. So the month that I am in right now as I'm filming this, when I only worked on about 4,228 words. But my highest month of 2021 was last month in November, so aka NaNoWriMo, when I was drafting Project CF, when I wrote 50,005 words in a month, which was about 1/5 of the words that I wrote or worked with during the entire year. This is a very good number. And even though I had not looked at this number before I started filming this video, something I found interesting was that after every month, I would be like pretty happy with the amount of writing that I had accomplished until like 2 days ago when it felt like I hadn't written enough this year. And I thought that that was a very interesting dichotomy of being really happy with something after the month is over. And then when I look back at like the bigger overarching what I accomplished during the year, it didn't feel like enough. And maybe that's because I was really hoping to be done with DE, but at the same time, again, DE is doing better because of my choices that I've made with it and taking longer with it. But now that I look at this 266,000 number and the fact that I finished draft 3 of DE, I sent it out to betas, I started CBH, I did most of draft 4, well no, like half of draft 4 of DE, and then I started drafting CF. I accomplished a lot this year. I really did. And I really am happy with that amount, but I also want to write more next year. I mean, I think that's kind of common to look back and be like, okay, I'm pretty happy with what I did. Overall, I think I'm really happy with what I did, especially the drafts and getting to start new projects while continuing to work on DE and stay excited about it. I think that's huge. But I also think that there's room for improvement and focusing more on writing, not every day, but more frequently than not. Because this past month of December, I have currently only worked on writing projects 4 days out of the last 27. So I definitely think that that's going to be a goal going into 2022, is writing more. And by writing more, I mean writing more consistently. And so I think I would like to try to shoot for like an hour a day. I know that this is not going to happen every day, but I would like to start working on the intentionality behind it and sitting down at the page and being present, even if I don't write a ton of words, for like an hour a day. I really don't think that's that crazy of an ask. Sometimes it is, but overall, I think that I definitely procrastinate far more than I should, and that I could do a lot more writing if I decreased my procrastination. So for writing, my goals for 2022 are going to be try to write more often than not, like more than half the days. I would like... This has been my goal for at least 2 or 3 years now. I would like to be done with book 1 of DE in 2022. And I do think, because of some recent developments, that that could be true. Of course, I'm really hoping that that's the case, but we don't know yet. So I'm going to write that down. I'm not going to do a good, better, best system this year, but I'm just going to be like, I would like to send out query letters, or at least start querying DE in 2022, preferably before the 6th year anniversary of starting DE, which is in July. But I don't know how long the next couple of drafts for DE are going to take, and it will probably have to be sent out to another round of betas, and that'll take like a month and a half. And so it might not happen until the end of 2022, but I'm going to add that as a goal, is to finish book 1 of DE and start querying it. Hopefully. Okay, finish. I feel like I've written this a lot. Finish DE and start querying. And then in parentheses, I'm gonna put before July, question mark, before/in July, question mark, and parentheses. I think that this is definitely gonna happen, but I would like to work on at least one other project that is not DE in 2022. I don't think that's gonna be a problem. When I had taken some notes a couple days ago, I did kind of think that in a perfect world, I would take January to finish draft 4. I would take February and March to do draft 5. In April, I would send it out to another round of beta readers. In May and June, I would work on draft 6. And then in July, I would start submitting. Granted, I don't know if it's going to be ready after draft 6. I don't know how realistic those timelines are, because DE is not a short story by any means. At the end of draft 4, it'll probably be like 140,000 words. I know that most books that are traditionally published, especially for debut authors, are somewhere between 80 and 100,000, but I'm not really dealing with word count right now. Well, I am dealing with word count, but I'm not trying to force DE into a smaller word count number until I have told the story and I'm happy with the story, and I can find things to cut out to make the story stronger. I also still want to reread the book that I wrote in high school, which is LRF, and so I'm gonna add that to this list because I think that that would be a very fun project to work on during 2022. And I don't think that this is an obscene amount of writing goals, so try to write on more days than not. That will help me accomplish these other goals. But finish draft 1 of DE and start querying, and potentially before/in July. Work on a non-DE book, I have one in mind, and reread LRF. So those I feel like are very attainable goals. Fingers are crossed. But I feel like writing on more days than not, very in my control. Working on a project that's not DE and rereading LRF, all very within my control. So I feel good about these goals. I do know that goals change, and I am perfectly open to that if that is what they choose to do, / if that is what I choose to do, and if I see that as best for me. Okay, I just got shorter. The next goal I want to talk about are my reading goals for 2022, and therefore I want to look at my Goodreads list for 2021 and talk to you guys about that. When I was goal setting for 2021, I did do a good, better, best system for my reading goals as well. And my good goal was to read 6 books because I was coming off of a very extreme reading slump. My better goal was to read 12, and my best goal was to read 20. And where I'm sitting on December 27th is at 11 books. I do not see myself finishing another book before the end of the year, which is why I'm making this video now, because I feel comfortable talking about this. So the books that I read in 2021 started with a book club that I did with Angela, Ann, and Brooke Wrights, where we basically reread the A Court of Thorns and Roses series up to the release of A Court of Silver Flames. Things. And so that was an automatic 5 books. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames, all in the first 2 months of the year. And then I went on to read The Shadows Between Us, From Blood and Ash, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I'm currently working on the 3rd book, and it is not as speedy as the first 2, which is why I have not finished it yet. Set Boundaries, Find Peace, The Simple Path to Wealth, and Work Optional. So I read 11 books this year. 3 of them were nonfiction. I'm very happy with that number. I would like to read more, but I'm also very happy with that number. So I think that that is going to be a similar goal to the one that I'm going to set for 2022, because I don't want to pressure myself into reading, but I also want to set a reading goal. So for reading, I like the tiered system that I did last year. So I do think I'm going to do my good goal as 6 books, my better goal as 12 books, and my best goal as 20 books. I do also want to work on my intentionality around reading, because I feel like I do so many other things in time that I could be reading, and none of them are productive, and I would feel much more relaxed if I actually took the time to read. So maybe that's also another goal that I should add, is that I want to start reading before I go to bed again. I'm just gonna say read before bed a couple times a week. I also started reading and got further into reading several books, but I didn't finish them, and the ones that I'm thinking of are Kingdom of Ash, again by Sarah J. Maas, and Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And it was very, very good, but then I hit another like mini reading slump and I stopped reading it. So I will look forward to going back to those at some point, but for right now, I have not quite finished them. Oh, this is a fun one. In my 2021 goals video that I made last year, I mentioned that I wanted to figure out where I wanted to move. I moved. I rewatched my 2021 goals earlier today, and I saw myself talking about how I wanted to figure out where I wanted to move to, because I wasn't sure where I wanted to be. I mean, in my heart, I think I was, but I was between like Denver and Salt Lake City. But I was also trying to figure out if there were other like mountainous areas that I wasn't considering. And in early 2021, I ended up going to Denver to tour apartments, and I just didn't fall in love with any of them. And the mountains were also 25 minutes away and only on one side, and they looked way closer than they actually were, but they weren't close at all. It just didn't feel right. And then I went to Salt Lake City and I just drove around apartments, and I saw one and it just felt perfect. And so then I signed a lease, and in June of 2021, I moved out to Salt Lake City. And I wish that I could tell myself a year ago when I was making my 2021 goals video that we get it figured out. We end up moving to Utah like I've wanted for years. In the summer, I went hiking like 3 times a week, which was an absolute dream. And I just kind of wish that I could like go back and tell myself a year ago that like everything works out. We move to the place that we want to be at. Everything is good. Life is great. And so I wanted to throw that in there. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I now live in Salt Lake City, but that was a really big decision for me to move across the country, not knowing anyone out in Salt Lake. But now that I'm out there, it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. I also had a word for 2021, and that was opportunity. That was also my word for 2020. And guess what? I still like it. That is staying my word. I don't know if that will ever not be my word for the year, just because it's so good and it's so open to so many different things, but opportunity. And now that I'm out near the mountains, and I live 5 minutes away from the mountains now, there are so many opportunities to get outside and meet people and be in nature, and it's just everything I've ever wanted. So I think that opportunity is a great word to keep for 2022. Next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of my social media goals, and this is relatively new for me, but these are kind of just fun goals, and they have a number goal as well as an intention goal to them, because I think that the intention part is the important part, because that's what I can control. But the numbers goals are just kind of fun, which is why I'm throwing them in here. So of my social media goals, let's start with YouTube. A brief history of my YouTube journey so far is that I started 2022 at 90 subscribers. And then in January of 2021, I was at 2,450 subscribers. When my goal for the entire year of 2020 was hitting 500 subscribers, I did about 5 times that. And so what I'm trying to say is that I started this year at 2,450 subscribers. And the goals that I set for myself, I also did a good, better, best system on. And so the good goal was 5K, even though I know that I am not in control of those numbers. I can only work on what I can work on and put out. My better goal was 7,500, and my best goal was hitting 10K. And as of filming this video, I am currently sitting at 7,360 subscribers. So I did not quite hit that better goal of 7,500, but I did smash that 5K goal. And again, I am incredibly happy with this. My channel is growing very, very well in my eyes. I did have a goal to post twice a week. I have missed that several times. I have posted 0 times a week a couple times. I've posted once a week a couple times. That is something that I want to get better at because I'm feeling really excited about YouTube again. And sometimes that phases and like eases off a little bit, but right now I'm feeling really, really good about it. So I want to continue to try to post about twice a week because again, that's something that I can control. And I'm very close to hitting 7,500. And so I have gained just under 5,000 subscribers during the year of 2021, which means that I feel like I can pretty confidently set slightly bigger goals for 2022. And so my good, better, best system for this is going to be good for 12,000, better for 16K, and best for 20,000. I understand that those are either going to be a reach or not a reach at all, depending on how well my channel does and the videos that I put out and how well the YouTube algorithm sweeps them up and pushes them out to new people, which is nothing that I control, but I can control posting twice a week. And it's just kind of fun to guess at numbers. And at the end of the year, I will just see how the channel grew. For Instagram, this one's very interesting to me. In January of 2021, I set a goal that I wanted to reach 5,000 followers on Instagram by the end of 2021, and I am currently sitting at 8,009. And so my writing Instagram has done extremely well this year. I started the year at 1,400, so that is a gain of 6,600 followers on Instagram. And I think a huge part of this is posting reels to Instagram, which has been so much fun. So I'm gonna set a fun goal for Instagram, and that is to try and post a reel every day. I know that that's probably not gonna happen, but again, this is a more often than not would be ideal. And because of this jump in followers based off of reels, I'm gonna do another good, better, best goal tier. And I'm gonna set the good goal to be 20K. I'm gonna set the better goal to be 30K. And I'm gonna set the best goal to be 40K, which seems wild, but again, these are just fun number guesses, and what I can control is how often I post. That being said, if you don't follow me already and you want to see some of my reels, this is my Instagram handle. It's at Sara Lubratt Writes. And then something that's new that I want to mention for 2022 is that I decided to start a Fiverr. I've gotten a lot of people asking me if I can read their stories or look at their chapters, and because of the volume of the asks that I've gotten, I can't look at everybody's, or I couldn't at least for free, in order to make it fair for myself. And so I decided to start a Fiverr where I offer chapter critiques now. That will be linked down in the description box if you want to get your chapter critiqued by me, or if you want my feedback on a chapter or a couple of chapters, feel free to use that link and let me know. I'm very excited to be offering this service going into 2022. That is brand new, and I'm very excited to read some of y'all's work. And then one of the last goals that I had set for 2021 was a travel goal. My goal is to do things on the weekends or take little trips, more intentionally explore wherever I was living, and try something new every other week. Now that I am living in Utah, and there are 5 national parks within Utah and 12 within a 6-hour drive, and the mountains are 5 minutes away, like I said earlier, I was hiking in the summer like 3 times a week. Over the summer, I did 2 national parks, and I'm now the proud holder of a national parks pass. And so I would say that I've accomplished this goal very happily. And so my last goal for 2022 is a travel goal. And I don't really think I'm gonna outline anything other than wanting to take an extended trip somewhere. And I do have some place in mind for later this year, but I'm not sure of the reality of that and how well that's actually gonna work, and if I'm gonna end up going to where I currently think I wanna go. But I'm gonna put that I would like to do an extended trip of longer than 2 weeks. 2 weeks or longer. Oh, I do also wanna try van life at some point, where I rent someone else's van and stay in it for like a weekend. So I'm gonna add try van life to my list. And then when the spring and summer rolls back around, I just wanna do more hiking, and I just wanna do more trips to national parks, and I just wanna enjoy being in Utah and enjoy the gorgeous nature and scenery there. So those are my goals for 2022, as well as recapping some of my 2021 accomplishments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sara Lubratt. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could tap that thumbs up button, because it really supports my channel by telling the YouTube algorithm that you liked my video and that someone else might too. 2022 is right around the corner. I would love it if you left a comment down below and told me what you accomplished in 2021 or what some of your 2022 goals are. If this is somehow the first video that you are finding of mine and you want to see more like it and more about my writing journey in 2022, and as hopefully I continue getting Project DE closer to publication, notification. Feel free to go ahead and tap that big red subscribe button because I am currently posting videos twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, and I will see you guys in the next video, which this time is actually going to be on a Saturday. Bye!